And when we do that, and when you have a president who is not only commander-in-chief of the military, but organizer-in-chief, when we stand together by the millions, then we can transform this country and create a government and an economy that works for every man, woman, and child, not just the 1%. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Carson City, thank you. All right, we have time for some questions or comments, and I wanted to start with a gentleman that I met a few months ago. John, why don't you tell people your name, get them a mic.
Thank you, Bernie. Because of your support, Senators Cortez, Masto, and Jackie Rosen got involved and straightened out my bills with TRICARE. And I was retroactively reinstated, and I only had to pay the $29.50 a month from when they canceled my insurance without my knowledge. So thank you for rescuing me. And I have this to give you. This. This is my leather flight jacket that I earned in Naval Air Crew Candidate School exactly 25 years ago in December '84. I graduated, I think it was January 11th, 1985. So it's exactly 25 years when I went through the doorsteps of that school where they just recently had a tragedy. They send all the enlisted and officers for flight training there, and I became a search and rescue corpsman. And I served at NAS Lemoore Search and Rescue and saved dozens of lives while stationed there. And as a corpsman, in 20 years of service, I saved many more in my routine jobs and things like this. I want you to have that. That's my original issue flight jacket and a flight patch.
Well, let me say this. John, I so much appreciate this. I am not going to take it because it's a beautiful jacket. It's a jacket that you earned, and I want you to keep it. But the last time I saw you, I will take that. That I will take.
My flight patch.
Okay. The last time I saw John, it was not a good circumstance. We had a brief conversation. And I'm so happy that working with your senators in our office, we were able to rectify your situation. Let me just say this, not just to John. As a nation, we can disagree about a war. We can disagree about foreign policy. But when brave people like John put their lives on the line to defend our country, when they come home, they will receive the best quality health care that this country can provide them. And they will not have to go deeply in debt or be harassed by bill collectors for some stupid bureaucratic reason. So, John, thank you so much. Okay, other questions or comments? Okay, ma'am, right here. Yep, we get you.
Hi, I have, you were talking about the federal governments with the Native Americans.
Yes. Hold on, Michael, closer.
I have a son-in-law and his family that are Native American down in San Diego. This travesty has been going on for a long time with people and the Native Americans that have tribes and are on reservations, and their families live on the reservations and are being kicked off the reservations after they have casinos, and they are building casinos. And the families, many of the elders are passing away with not knowing, their children don't even know their heritage anymore. All because of the greed. What can you help us with for those families?
We can do a lot, and we will do a lot. Almost every community that I go to that has a Native American population, I meet with tribal leaders. So this is an issue that we feel strongly about from a moral perspective. What has happened to the Native American people, the lies that have been told to them, the treaties that have been broken, the fact on sacred land, their sacred land all over the country, you have large corporations moving in, poisoning the water, excavating minerals, and so forth and so on. The fact that right now you have probably as much poverty in the Native American community as any community in this country. You got a lot of addiction going on, inadequate education. All right, and the answer is we will finally give the Native American people the respect and dignity to which they are entitled. And as I said a moment ago, we have a lot to learn from the Native American people and their history and their culture. And one of the things they have always understood, from as far back as I think we can learn, is that as human beings, we are part of nature. And we cannot simply destroy nature and think that humanity will benefit from that. They did not destroy. You don't destroy your source of food. You don't wipe out the buffalo if you're dependent upon that for food. You don't poison the water if you need water to drink. That's what they have understood. And that when you look at your policy, what you do, you look at it over a long period of time, not just the end of the quarter and the profits that you make. So we as a nation have a lot to learn from the Native American people, their understanding about sustainability and their relationship to nature. So we are going to do everything we can to improve life for the Native American people, to undo the damage that was done, and to use their culture and their history to help improve life for all Americans. See a woman right behind you. Yeah, woman in the pink, yeah.
One of my big concerns...
Hold that mic a little bit closer, please.
A great concern of mine is our foreign policy. I am so tired of the killing that goes on with our tax dollars, the coups in foreign countries, the death squads that we have supported. And I want someone to make me proud of my country again. I no longer want to be ashamed of my country. And war is not green.
Thank you. We could discuss that one for a very long time, but let me just say this. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I happen to believe that the United States must stand for democracy and human rights all over the world. I mean, I think there's an incredible amount of energy and intelligence among young people which have got to be incorporated into public policy. So it's not just a bunch of old white guys who are going to make the decisions. We're going to be reaching out. And what you have right now is a tax system, listen to this, where in the midst of massive income and wealth inequality, the effective tax rate of the very wealthiest people in this country is lower than the effective tax rate of somebody in the middle class. How's that? So if you are a multi-billionaire, your effective tax rate is lower than somebody in the middle class. If you are, anybody here know how much Amazon paid last year in federal income tax? All right. That's called a corrupt political system. You got. And by the way, I'm very proud to tell you, when we talk about this stuff, is I think we are the only campaign to have received no contributions from billionaires. And I'm really proud of this, I really am. We have, as of today, I think, give or take a little, we have received some 4.2 million contributions. Got that? We have received them from something like 1.2 million separate Americans. The average contribution is $18. And what we have accomplished in terms of the number of contributions and the number of individuals is more than any candidate in the history of the United States of America. Now, one of my Democratic opponents has received contributions, I believe, from 44 billionaires. Another candidate is busy running around the country, going to wealthy people's homes, raising a whole lot of money. And what they will tell you is, it doesn't matter. They will not influence me. Yeah, we're receiving millions and millions of dollars from the rich and the powerful, but it will not influence me. Duh. Why do you think the rich and the powerful make these campaign contributions? All right, they may be greedy, but they are not stupid. They know exactly what they are doing. So I'm really proud to tell you that actually more uniquely than any campaign in the history, not just right now, the history of this country, this is a campaign that is dependent upon the working class of this country, that stands with the working class of this country, and will develop policies which protect the working class of this country. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Sanders, for your opening remarks. We will now transition to questions from Iowa certified organic farmers.
Good evening. My name is Kim Anderson, and I run Blueberry Bottom, which is a certified organic blueberry farm in rural Brighton, Iowa. Organic regenerative farming practices are essential for fighting climate change, and they provide environmental services that support clean air, water, and healthy food for our communities. We need more organic farmers. How will your agricultural policies incentivize more family farms to adopt and continue organic and regenerative farming practices?
Well, thank you very much for that important question. Let me begin by saying we will demand that factory farming be held to a standard in which we understand the incredible environmental impact they are having on communities all over this country. It is not acceptable to me, nor I think to you, that you have factory farms whose waste is not only polluting our air, but polluting our water, costing communities huge amounts of money to deal with that. Factory farming must be held accountable, and we're going to put a moratorium on factory farming. Yes, we will do that, no question.
Thanks for being here, Bernie.
Thank you.
My name is Billy Salmons. As Salmons Custom Farming, I co-own and operate the Hunter Multi-Generational Farm in Sheridan, Iowa, where we grow diverse organic crops on 120 acres. As Dr. Ticky mentioned earlier this evening, healthy organic soil can sequester large amounts of carbon, more than we even realize. It seems fitting that today, on World Soils Day, I have a question for you.
See, I got to confess, I did not know that today was World Soils Day. You caught me unaware here.
If elected president, how would you assure that the USDA makes healthy soil a high priority, not only for all farmers, but in particular that it's a requirement for certified organic crops.
Well, I think the last part of your question deals with very strong standards in terms of organic agriculture. And what you're saying is that part of that standard, part of that criteria, has got to be that the soil used by farmers is healthy soil and is rich soil. And God knows we are seeing some bad things in that respect all over this country. The other point that you made, and as I said, I was on a TV program 10 minutes ago, and guy asked me about climate change is my major problem. I don't know how anybody in this world, not just in this country, cannot understand that climate change is an extraordinary priority for our country and the world if we love our kids and our grandchildren. So I think agriculture can play a major role, and what we will do is we transform the Department of Agriculture away from supporting agribusiness and factory farming to supporting family-based agriculture and moving aggressively on climate change.
Good evening, Senator. My name is Andy Dunham, and I'm a fifth-generation farmer here in Iowa. My daughter Emma is here with me. She's a sixth-generation Iowa farmer. And my wife and I own and operate Grinnell Heritage Farm in Grinnell, Iowa, where we grow a wide array of vegetables and fruits and nuts and have pasture and a grass-fed beef herd. We're one of the oldest farms in central Iowa. And I kind of feel like you've answered my question a little bit.
But I can always repeat. That's what politicians do,
In appointing an attorney general who maybe will look on this more favorably, but for years, farmers have been squeezed by low prices, vertical integration of agribusiness, and monopolies of markets. And while much of this has been happening in the conventional sector, it is also now affecting the growing organic market. So in addition to appointing an attorney general who will use antitrust legislation, how else would you curb this vertical integration and the monopolies and ensure fair pricing to family farmers?
Okay. I indicated to you that I am deeply concerned about concentration of ownership in the agribusiness industry. We will put a moratorium on mergers, and we will have an attorney general who is prepared to break up industries, corporations who are dominating and monopolizing a given industry.
Thank you, Senator Sanders, for joining us today. I'm Margaret Smith. My husband and I run a 600-acre organic grain and livestock farm about 50 miles north of here near Hampton. We raise our crops for human food, for seed crops, and then for some animal feed as well. I appreciate that the National Organic Program allows us to do that, to certify our crops and sell them and identity into the market. That's been great for us. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be farming. And of course, then we hire certifiers to come and check what we do. We operate on the honor system, right? And so the NOP is also mandated with ensuring that honor system. As organics has become more profitable, there's fraud that's entered the organic system. And both domestic and international. And what I'd like to know what your administration would do to help prevent fraud. That's undercutting our prices and undercutting our ability to make a living.
So people who are not really organic are posing as organic, or they're, okay, both domestically and internationally.
Right. And sadly enough, it was an investigative reporter with the Washington Post who really got into understanding that some of our imports were fraudulent.
Huge shipments are coming in that are fraudulent from other countries.
Labeled as organic when they're not.
Yes.
Right, but it's both domestic and international.
Look, it is, no great secret. You already know that we have a corporate world today that in many respects is not just very greedy, but is corrupt. I mean, you see that every day. Don't get me going about the pharmaceutical industry and their greed and corruption, but it's very widespread. So the answer is, I think I indicated earlier, is that for the sake of consumers who are spending good dollars on organic food, they want to know that it is organic. That's what they want. So we will prosecute very heavily those corporate interests, we will maintain strong standards. And at some point, maybe we can discuss how we strengthen those standards and what that means. But we will support the strongest standards possible. We will go after and prosecute those people who are lying about what they are doing, who are violating those standards. We will be very strong about country of origin to make sure that if you are buying a product, you know where that product was grown. So those are some of the things we will do, but it is an issue that I take very seriously.
Thank you, Senator, for coming tonight and listening to us organic farmers. I feel it's a very important policy discussion going forward. My name is James Franzen. I'm from Northeast Iowa. I help my parents run an organic beef, pork, and grain farm, and we produce organic meat for Organic Valley, the farm-owned co-op. It has 2,000 family farmers all across the United States, including your state in Vermont, over 100 farmers. And also I own and operate an organic livestock feed mill, Riverside Feeds. I work with numerous farmers every day all across the United States, and I do know that they are still the backbone of America. We need a Secretary of Agriculture who stands with sustainable family farmers, not corporate interest groups. Will you appoint a Secretary of Agriculture who understands and will support vibrant, organic, and regenerative family farmers?
Absolutely. Look, I have spent my entire political life fighting against the greed and the corruption of corporate interests. And right now, it is no secret to anybody in this room that we have a Department of Agriculture which supports, subsidizes factory farming, agribusiness, and has turned its back in a significant way to the family farmers, on the family farmers of this country. And the result is tragic. Organic or non-organic, we're seeing so many families forced off the land. So you have my word. And this one you can take to the bank. That we will not be appointing a Secretary of Agriculture who comes from agribusiness, who comes from big corporate interest. He will come from the family, he or she will come from a background in family-based agriculture, who knows the pain that is going on right now.
If we really are serious about fighting climate change, all of our agriculture should be organic. And right now, the United States is trying to export their industrial agriculture model. It's been estimated by the United Nations that 820 million people today are food insecure, and climate change is going to make that worse. So I believe, I'd like your response, United States should be a role model in parity for their farmers, so the farmers can actually make some money. Supply management, so we're not overproducing the wrong foods.
Let me just jump in there and tell you.
And food and grain reserves as well.
All right, if you talk to anybody in the state of Vermont, they will tell you that from my first day in the United States Congress back in 1991, I was a strong advocate of supply management. And what has happened in dairy, and it happens in other products as well, prices go up, people overproduce, they go into debt to produce, prices go down and they're stuck, and farmers go out of business because there's a glut on the market. And actually in Vermont now, I have to tell you that after years and years of resistance from family-based dairy farmers, there is now significant support for the concept of supply management. And where I live in Burlington, is 50 miles away from Canada. Canada has, some of you may know, in terms of dairy, very strong supply management, and by and large, their farms are doing very well. The price they're getting per hundredweight is almost double what it is in Vermont, okay? So I am counting in terms of supply management. And in terms of climate change, as I've just indicated, I don't know that there's, there are so many issues out there, we're gonna fight for healthcare and education, but how can anybody in this day and age not understand the severity of the crisis regarding climate change? And we will use all the tools and all the ways, but certainly we're not going to export an agricultural model which makes a bad situation worse. Okay, well, let me just conclude by thanking you all. The work you're doing is enormously important, and people all over the country appreciate what you're doing in helping to get them high-quality food. Thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you, Senator.